welcome to tonight's second game, a semi-final matchup here. Davey Lane beside me, welcome. Oh, we've literally shot the lights out just as we've started, Davey. So that's interesting. Wonder if that's a sign of things to come. Interesting matchup here between second place Norths and third place Hills Hornets. Tell me what you know.
Mate, it is going to be a cracker of a game here. Both teams finished second and third. They've won each throughout the year, so it's going to be as close as you can. The lights going out means someone's going to shoot the lights out, but they've started before we've even tipped off, mate.
Mate, I think they're singing of the Australian national anthem.
Absolutely.
What a wonderful rendition by the young girl there. Congratulations on a great effort. Davey, it'll be a very interesting matchup here. We've got some very, very athletic players at both ends of the court. And two ex-NBL nearly Hall of Famers in Terry Johnson coaching the Hills Hornets.
Yep.
And BK Benny Knight, really an NBL legend in his own right, running the squad over at North. It's interesting to see whether or not that professionalism has sort of made its way into the programs that they're rightly taken care of.
Yeah, you would think so. With that sort of experience and that level of competition, it'd start trickling down from the top. And it's obvious how they are playing together that you can see that sort of filtering through. I expect it to be high octane. I reckon there's plenty of height out there as well. Some big units out there. There's going to be a lot of boards being crashed, a lot of driving hard, and I reckon some hard fouls as well. So it's going to be a real tough one. And the Pine is going to be very unforgiving for anyone who hits it.
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head there. These two teams are enormous.
Yeah. Just walking in here into our commentary position here, Dom, and I tell you what, I'm a big guy. I'm 150 kilos, 6'4", and I was dwarfed quite by a fair of them, and even the guards were bigger than me. So it's going to be a big one. It's going to be muscles up, and it's going to be it is going to be good. But so you would expect at a game of this level, the second semi-final, to see who gets into the grand final. A little bit earlier, we saw that Newcastle Hunters got through 98 to beat the Manly Warringah Sea Eagles 82 in a classic match. The house was being brought down by the crowd, and this being the home of the Hills Hornets, it is going to be the roof. We've just got to be careful that it doesn't come tumbling down halfway through the game.
I hope it's past building code for this sort of crowd. I'm sure it has. It's a beautiful facility. Congratulations again to the Hills Hornets and the community of the Hills Hornets being able to put such a beautiful building together for a facility to host what is becoming more and more the blue ribbon event of the Basketball New South Wales calendar, which is the Waratah League finals. As we all know, it generally takes a turn each year in city and country, and I think it's a credit to the metro areas to be able to host such a wonderful event in such a beautiful facility.
It is going to be fantastic. The seats look good, the crowd look ready. We're all ready. We're not too far away from tip-off here. We've got the starting lineups there as well. We'll run through those in a second, and we'll be able to tell you who will be hitting the court for both teams very soon here at the Hills Basketball Centre. Fabulous night. Hopefully you're tuning in and enjoying the action here. There's plenty of it going on all day today and all day tomorrow, so make sure you tune in. Jump onto the Facebook page, Basketball New South Wales, streaming all of the games. And tomorrow, it's Grand Final City. We're going to be dosed up. Make sure you get some honey and lemon in before you dine. Tomorrow it's going to be a big one.
Need to. Luckily for us, we've actually got two of the All-Star 5 in this game, and both on the same team with Paul Brotherson and Josh Chapman, both from the Hills. Congratulations to both players. I tell you what, it's a tantalising combination of backcourt and frontcourt here. You've got two guys in Nick Blair and Jimmy McCann on the north side who are as good as you're going to get in the combination of two guys in the one team. Adrian Cabrera has been a breath of fresh air for this Hills club at that point guard position. Josh Chapman, well, the fact he's in the All-Star 5 tells us he's just a stellar performer. Don't be surprised if Josh walks away with MVP honours in this game. He's hungry for a championship. I believe on the Hills team, the only guy that's tasted success over the years is Goran Veg at this level. And Hills have been a perennial title contender for many years. So here we go, tip-off. Looks like Hills have control of the first play of the game, Cabrera on left-hand side. Interesting to see what sort of matchups we have. Straight man-to-man by Norths.
Yeah, good defensive pressure there, but a good drive there. Just slips out, and they're able to get the rebound and the outlet. Norths Bears looking to bring it up. Slowing it down nice and early, making sure they get into good position. Looks like McCann there bringing the ball up, number 4. Sliding it in, it dishes it out. Kicks it back out again. Plenty of time. About 12 seconds on the shot clock there. Takes it inside. Little mini skyhook there. Shows plenty of eagerness getting that ball. Both of those Hornets players going for that rebound.
That's a tough matchup there because I would actually suggest that Paul Brotherson probably has a quicker first step than Anatoly, even though Anatoly's resume is very impressive with the amount of countries and professional teams that he's played for. But I think keep your eye on that matchup tonight between Anatoly Bose and Paul Brotherson.
Well, just a tip there. The referees have turned it around. They saw a little bit of skin just off the top of one of the Hills Hornets there off that rebound. North Bears get the ball back. 3 great refs tonight. Sharad, Chris and Jay, they're excellent referees in their own right. I said in the last game, I think there's been a significant step forward with the refereeing in the last few years of this level. And, you know, credit to Barnstable, New South Wales and their officiating team for putting such an effort into making sure the officiating's moving in the same direction as the playing. Absolutely. Only a minute and a bit into it and they've already called a foul, so they are on top of their game. They're not going to take any guff in this level. It's a holding foul there against the Hills Hornets.
Oh, that goes down as an unforced error. Cabrera with the team steal. Chapman feeling it. No roll. I tell you what, didn't look bad off the hand though. North's got to be aware of the fact that Tapper's willingness and capability of being able to shoot from that perimeter.
Exactly. If he gets a free shot from there again, look for him to take it. The next one I'm pretty sure will fall. Hornets pushing it up down the wing there, down that channel. Pop it inside.
So this is the second time they've tried to play through Goran Veg in that position. I'll tell you what, Paul Brotherson, you could just see with certain players at this league, Paul obviously has multiple years of experience playing over in Germany on a professional level, their ability to play, to go up notches.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Oh, okay, we're playing a quarterfinal. Okay, we're playing a semi-final. You know, he's come out now and scored the first 5 points. Very interesting to see whether or not they make a change with that matchup.
Yeah, he sort of ghosted through for that offensive rebound and put it back in too, so that's a good one. So they're going to have to work hard off the ball to make sure he stays away from those rebounds as well. There's another foul to the Hills Hornets. That's their second team foul.
Interesting to see this. Toly Bose is actually traditionally a 2-guard swingman, and at this level has that ability to play at a low mid-post.
Yep.
So it'll be very interesting to see whether or not Hills have to make an adjustment there with his willingness as a receiver to create opportunity out of there at the baseline.
Yeah, that was Bose there. Number 31 for the Bears, getting their first points for the game. Just lining up for his second free throw. Misses that one. But the Hornets lead 5-1 here at the Hills Basketball Centre. The Hive, as it's known, and it certainly is a hive of activity.
It really is.
Nice pivot there. Nice screen there.
What are they called here? Pushing foul on the ball. No, they've caught on Lyndon High. That's actually trying to stop exactly what you're referring to there, Davey.
Yeah.
A really good screen, and then they've tried to push their way over the top of it and been pinged for the foul.
Exactly right. Those off-the-ball screens these days are tantamount and important to both teams if they want to get that clear offensive passage and that run.
10 seconds left on the clock. 8 seconds. Interesting to see what Brotherson. That's on the non-preferred right hand. Interesting that they allowed him to pivot that way.
Yeah, exactly. He sort of made it hard for himself getting onto his offside there. and shooting from the side. Got a decent look at the ball with that one, but he just didn't fall.
For mine, Davey, the guy with the ball in his hand, Adrian Cabrera, is going to be the difference maker, and that's either a good or a bad thing for Hills. He's been the significant addition that they've charged. Sharon Savari, you know, fair call. Jimmy was well outside the charge circle. Sometimes you can almost be too athletic. Adrian jumped from outside the key there, made an impressive layup, but taken away due to a charge call.
Yeah, exactly right. He is quick though.
David, we've got what you would refer to as a 92% full crowd at this stage, and I think you're just going to continue to have people streaming through the door. Car park absolutely chockers. Look at this defensive intensity. This is something that surely has been addressed by Terry Johnson, the coach of the Hills Hornets, at the commencement of this game.
He scored that foul on McCann there. It's
low scoring game, 5-1. 5-1, 3 minutes gone.
Yeah, just still feeling each other out. I think everybody's getting some decent looks at the basket and some shots are going up, but they're just rimming out. They'll get into the feel of the game as it continues on, and the first team to sort of settle into that rhythm, I think, could put a little bit of a gap on the other one. At the moment, it seems that the Hornets are that team that are starting to find their rhythm a little bit better. But then again, you get a shot like that, just hits the front of the rim. It's not going to do a lot for your confidence. But I tell you what, they're going to keep shooting. They're not going to put it away.
There have been an impressive amount of contested shots that have had to be made inside the shot clock. I think both teams have come out with a real defensive focus. As we're talking, Davey, there's a steal right at the feet of Paul Brotherson.
Exactly, turnover there. That's what they want. Those stops are important. As good as it is to score points in basketball, it's also great to stop points on the opposition. Just over in that corner there. Oh, too easy, that rebound.
Jimmy McCann's not getting... That's a breakdown. Somewhere in the middle of that shot clock, there was a breakdown. I love Jimmy McCann, but at no stage should he be under the rim with Paul Brotherson.
No, exactly right. That was a total mismatch there, and just too easy. You saw the extra height, the extra size, just pushed the guard out of the way. And Jimmy McCann, he was struck. There was not much he could do other than foul. He didn't foul, but he seemed to have got it back. They'll shake it off. They've still got a bit of work to do. It's starting to become a little bit of a gap, and it is now 7-1 towards the Hornets. Inbound pass there from McCann. He's doing plenty of talking as well, Dom.
He's a leader.
Troops.
Oh, absolutely a leader, and that's kind of been his calling card for the time he's been involved in basketball in this state. Nick Blair is as volcanic offensive player as you'll have in this league. He can get going like a match to a flame. And he's a leader. You know, I mentioned in the pre-game that this backcourt is the beginning, middle, and end of that sentence for this team.
There is that
a wonderful kick out. Oh, I'll tell you what. Oh, look, you know what you've got there? You've got the two players from Hills who are awarded All-Star 5 honours working together to really force out what should have been a fairly good, easy defensive rebound for Norths.
Yeah, exactly right. One took the shot, one missed the rebound and the follow-up, and then the other one came back and got it. So they're definitely working together quite well on this side of the court. Just down low, he's just touched his little toe on the line there. He had him on for speed as well, just underneath the basket in that low cut and that low drive.
I tell you what, I don't know whether it's something that has been a focus, but by getting the ball to Goran Veg down in that low block, one of the better defenders from North in Eric Dorbeck has been fully committed to that area. So the isolation on the weak side of the ball has been remarkable. I don't know whether that's something necessarily drawn up. Dorbeck on cue on a shot.
Yeah, they've got those guys running. That looks almost like a... just in and out again. In and out again. You want to make those. You want to make those bread and butter plays. If they'd got all of those shots from inside that they'd really wanted to, they could have been a lot more in front, the Hornets. Hopefully it doesn't come back to haunt them a little bit later on.
Oh, nice three. Lyndon Hyde, he's another one of these players that can just get going. They've got a smattering of them throughout the Bears. Oh,
a nice hard foul there. Just reaching for that ball, just got in front of him, shouldered him across the line.
Look, in a head-to-head basis, we've got an interesting sub here. We've got, look, you lose absolutely nothing here with Heath Weishman. You're taking a giant off for a mountain.
Yes.
You know, you're not losing a whole lot there. Heath Weishman has been around Barnstable, New South Wales forever and a day. Committed 4 years there over in college, and just another quality big that Hills have been able to maintain. He was a Hills junior, so that means a lot to me. I'm a huge advocate for players hanging around and staying involved in their club in terms of the geographical demographic in which they're from.
Absolutely.
And I think it's really important. And look, Hills, to their credit, 90% of their squad are exactly that.
Yeah, well, that's what you build your franchise on, regardless of what level you're at. Those juniors coming through and filling those holes, you complement them with people who've got experience from around the world. Oh, just fell out again. Unlucky. There.
Good rebound. Dorbeck's doing a really good job, considering I would say he's, from a team perspective, probably slightly overmatched. Mike Golding with a strong play through the middle. Unlucky not to get that. That was a really good look. Quick semi-transition play at the low post.
Yeah. I'm just worried, though. The Bears seem to be chucking up a couple that sort of could, if they had that extra second or two or half a second, and really drive it in. They're just sort of throwing up and hoping at the moment, and hopefully they will get that space that they need, because the defence at the moment is smothering them. It is 9-6 towards Hills, but again, can't do that. Can't be grabbing them.
No, there's that same play, similar play again. Mike Golding's a very interesting player. You'd consider him an undersized player in the area that he likes to score the points. But that's 2 back-to-back trips where he's looked to have a score right at the ring. A little bit of chatter between what looked like Rob Merrick there and Mike Golding. I think off the court they're actually pretty good mates, so I don't think there's as much in that as it looks from a spectator's point of view.
Yeah, exactly. At this sort of level, everybody sort of knows each other. They come across each other, whether through the junior ranks or playing for as long as they have in the senior grade. So a lot of friendships out in the court, but it all finishes when that white line fever starts.
Absolutely. Interesting substitutions here, especially by Hills. They look to have actually gotten longer out there. That is an absolute debacle out there with 3 turnovers in the space of about 2 seconds. But a bit more composed out here. Anatoly. There we go. He is all class. He's probably the X factor, if you want to give an X factor out there for the North team.
And that elbow as well on that in that key there, it was wide open both sides. So look for a few more points getting scored there by the Bears. I think they're just playing a little bit high in the defensive zone. The guys from Hills, and they're just going to exploit those. Just at the top of that elbow there, I reckon there'll be a few more good jump shots from around there. All of a sudden,
off the back of that post jump shot, North have taken their first lead of the game.
Unbelievable. It was looking all one way there in the first part of this quarter. 2 minutes 40 remaining in the first quarter of this semi-final, and all of a sudden Hills find themselves a point behind, but attacking pretty hard into that corner.
That has nearly gone in off the glass. Tough rebound by Lyndon Hyde.
Well, I tell you what, they'll need to send out an inquiry into that bank, that's for sure.
Wouldn't be the first this year.
Oh my goodness, that's scandalous, but it kissed it very high, almost went in, but just didn't quite get there for him.
Dan Young, this kid's an interesting sub, and that's a big change in terms of team dynamic. You're taking Lyndon Smith Hyde off, who is a swingman, and you're inserting Dan Young, who at a stretch is a 4, but definitely plays big like a 5. Lovely kid, solid defender. Emils DeSellis coming on here, very important member of the Hills Basketball Association, taking off Jason Strong. So a dramatic change between. Look, that's a lot of contact for no call. Tolley's still there on the ground, probably out of shot at the moment.
Oh, nice.
Silly turnover there by Hills. They had the numerical advantage. And Tolley's basically cherry-picked that opportunity, and North have taken advantage of it. So credit to them for doing that.
Zaki stayed down a little bit. Got caught under his contact there in the first attempt that he had, just under the basket and the backboard there. He hung around because he was a bit incredulous that he didn't get the call, but now it's all come good. So karma's worked for him, and he's back at the line to extend the Bears' lead.
And we've got Heyman subbing here for Josh Chapman, another young man who's been around Hills for a very long time, plying his trade at this level. He's another one of these volcanic scorers. Super athletic. Great passer of the ball. So you've got an entire backcourt bar Cabrera. Cabrera's still the only starter from the backcourt combination out there for both teams. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not the depth of Norths is at this stage more of an asset than what maybe Hills have. So Great. Oh my goodness gracious. Brotherson has tried to put him on a poster. Heyman stops, pops. Good look by the young man. Good hustle here. Anything could happen here. This look, what do they call it? They've called a jump ball. Possession to Norths. Possession to Norths as Hills had the ball off the first. Clock's running.
Well, they just called it now. They've stopped the clock there. But that all come from just that little extension. The guard from North just shot out a little bit too early. He was able to get the ball underneath him and take it almost all the way to the rack. I thought it was going to be dunk time, and there ain't a donut to be seen. Unbelievable if he had managed that, but it's just rimmed out. The ball's gone down. They've called the jump ball, and North got the ball back. So
Paulie Brotherson gave us a little bit of a signal out there, telling us just how close he was to getting that. Actually,
unbelievable. Would have brought the house down nice and early, and they definitely need it. All of a sudden, their scoring options are dried up just a little bit for the Hornets. The Bears are starting to impose their will on them. They're playing that scrappy game, and I don't think the Hornets appreciate that.
Brennan Reimer. That's strong.
Oh, look at that.
Young kid, I believe, is playing at the University of Alaska.
Oh, Alaska.
So he's back for the summer break. Their summer break in Alaska can't be too much warmer than our winter, to be perfectly honest.
Exactly. I was just thinking it'd want to be a heated stadium up there in Alaska.
Davey, you know what I'm seeing? I'm seeing some nervous, uncontested shots being attempted by Hills, which, given the fact that it's been quite some time since they were in the finals, 2003, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, not too far away from quarter time, and I'm pretty sure the coach will just sit them down and just say, hey, just take it easy, it's okay, it's a long game. They're looking like they're trying to and wanting to win the game in this first quarter.
That's a really good call, David. That's spot on. It feels like a rush.
Exactly. They're just trying to get as many points as they can without playing for them and making those spaces and making those good shots. Another foul there to the Hornets. It looks like the Bears will go to the line for two. They've taken a 5-point lead here with 25 seconds remaining in the first quarter here at the Hills Basketball Centre. The Bears are leading 14 points to 9 over the Hornets. And as they head towards quarter time, they make another sub.
Well, I actually think what Norths have been able to achieve is a really, really good combination of quickness across the board.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't know at this point exactly what the statistics are on transition points, but Norths have looked like the faster team.
Yeah, exactly.
They've probably spent a lot less time using the shot clock than Hills have.
Yep.
And it's indicative by a 7-point lead.
7-point lead. There we go. They're getting plenty of guys down there early as well, so they're getting targets for their guards and their ball carriers to get down there and pass it on. So that means the defenders have to turn and they have to hustle back nice and quick. There's a foul there. It's like a push. 2 shots off to the line. They certainly need this with only a few seconds remaining in this quarter, just to settle the nerves going into the sheds and onto the bench at quarter time here. First one goes down at 16-10. The second one falls. It's a 5-point game with the Bears leading 16 points to 11, 15 seconds remaining. They're counting it down nice and quick, Dom. There's one more chance for a shot here. Can't really afford the foul.
Too much. You'd suggest that was too much space. Oh, just a lot at the rim without a call.
Put it up.
I would say that was before. Oh.
No basket.
Nah. It was clearly probably closer to half a second away from being an opportunity there.
Yeah, exactly. Needed to let it go nice and early. Well, here at the Hills Basketball Centre, it is the second semi-final between the Norths Bears and the Hills Hornets, and it is the Bears that lead by 5 points, 16 points to 11. It is a cracking game, Don.
Well, just something from the sponsors here. Are you interested in attending a USA college? Would you like to learn more about what's involved in being recruited to play basketball in the US? Talk to Custom College Recruitment, Basketball in New South Wales, official college recruitment partner. You can visit them at www.customcollegerecruiting.com to learn more.
Exactly right. That's a great opportunity getting over to college. A lot of the players are certainly getting it, and they like the ethos, the work ethos of the Australian players. So young guys
sure do.
Wanting to learn and that kind of stuff. Do you think they'd take on a 45-year-old freshman, Dom? Is there any chance? Any chance at all?
It depends on the sport you're looking to get recruited for.
Oh, basketball.
Okay, yeah. Look, I think there is an age restriction. I think it's in and around the early 20s is when there's a cut-off date. And it's only the age that's the issue, not your physical abilities.
Well, you know, one can hope, one can dream. I'm still hoping for a growth spurt at 45.
Is that right?
Exactly. I think I'm going to make it. I'm hoping, and fingers crossed, I make it by 50.
Mate, I think between you and I, we've had enough growth spurts. Just having some technical issues here with my play-by-play, but I'm back.
You're back. Let's go through the North Bears, mate. Who's the leading scorers for them?
We have Anatoly Bose. And look, he's done most of his damage from the free throw line. At 5 or 6 from the free throw line. Look, we just sort of, at 16 points, you know, we didn't have a lot of points scored in the game. Right. There wasn't a lot that was actually happening from a statistical perspective to get too excited about. Paul Brotherson's really the standout from a scoring perspective with 11 points, which I said in the pre-game would be something that wouldn't surprise me. I'm not expecting Paul to have 44 in the game, but at 11 points and 4 or 7 from the field, cheers.
Well, he has scored all the points for the Hornets there, so that is he could be on track for a 40-point game at this stage.
Oh, he's certainly got the ability.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, he's got the ability. And he's a good enough shooter to shoot it at a clip that would be acceptable for the coach to continue going through that vein. So, interesting lineup here. Hills have gone to what would be their second string backcourt with Jamie Newth and Dave Heyman.
Yep. Both
very capable players in their own right. Interesting little zipper play on a baseline there. Emils DeSellis. There's Paul Brotherson just showing his class. In no week of Sunday should have that been Paul Brotherson's rebound, but there it was.
Yeah, absolutely.
Geez. Brendan Reimer has gone high in the air. Look at that great sportsmanship. You know, these clubs have got a lot of history. They, of course, during the season play the Life Members Cup.
Yep.
And you don't see any of that in terms of animosity. Every single player then both went to the opposition player to make sure they were both okay. So that's lovely to see.
Yeah, exactly. It is a hard floor, that's for sure. Certainly when you come down from a height, you're going to feel it, and everybody knows that pain. Interesting to note, too, that not only is Paul Brotherson getting it done on the offensive end with 11 points, he's also leading rebounder for the Hornets with 5. So he is doing it at both ends of the court at the moment. He's keeping them in there.
Yeah, they're leaning harder on him than a kid with a broken ankle on his crutch.
Exactly.
They probably need to find an alternate outlet for some scoring.
Yeah, to just give them. I think with that change, like you said, in their court, in their front court there, it might give them something different to look at. So hopefully they will, move them around, get them moving, and get them second guessing themselves.
Well, Adrian Cabrera, the starting point guard, actually was the highest scorer on an average for the team at just over 17 points a game.
There we go. That was too easy. Sidestep that like a...
Sam Hyman. Sam Hyman's obviously spent a lot of his senior career at the Sydney Comets. What a wonderful pickup for North to have got such a classy player to be part of. I think he's actually played pretty good defence there. I'm not here to necessarily agree or disagree with the officials in the pink, but I would have been happy. Both teams probably would have been happy with that to be a no call, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. He did everything he needed to on a defensive end to get up and straight and no contact there. And I think it was just that little reach at the end, though it did sound like he got a fair bit of ball. They just called it there for a little touch. They've gone to a timeout there, and it is now 20 points to 11. So the Bears have picked up where they left off in the first quarter, scoring a few more points, and that was too easy with Hyman going straight for the basket. It was a nice sidestep there. It certainly was. He was able to get around it. The guy planted his feet nice and early, and he was able to use that big step, that first one, to get up there for that second one. So they really need to shore up that middle, the Hornets. Otherwise, it's just going to be like the Pacific Highway straight through there with the way that the Bears are looking to attack the basket. I think there's plenty of holes opening up for them to drive through.
Even though it's early, it sort of doesn't feel like it should be a 9-point game. Credit to North to be able to etch out 20 points. But I'm not sure either coach would be happy with only being able to qualify with 20 points and 11 points in respect for each other's score. And I want to say it's to do with the intensity of the defense, but there have been a lot of easy, uncontested shots that have missed for both teams. 20 points at this stage is an okay amount of points to score, but it's certainly not the greatest output of points that they've had this year.
Yeah, exactly. You mentioned the pressure. It's been a little while for the Hornets there, but the home ground advantage must account for something. I expect the crowd will come into it a little bit later as they get a little bit closer. We heard some of the noise from them when they got a few calls not go their way, and I'm pretty sure that'll come through.
Well, they started the game on a 9-1 run, and so if you take in consideration they started 9-1, they're currently down 20-11.
Yeah.
So its momentum's been all North Bears since probably midway through that first quarter.
Yeah, exactly. The Bears, they're not pressing themselves, they're not panicking at all. And it was good to see that experience from their coach sort of said, hey, look, still plenty of time in it. And they were able to get through that first quarter and then just get in front, just keep chugging at it like a little diesel engine to get across the line. The Hornets are very streaky at the moment in terms of their shooting. One or two of their shots there almost will look way off from where we were.
Look at that block.
Nice big block. That'll get the crowd going and it'll get the team going. You can see the bench up for the Hornets. Nothing better than the nice slap of a block shot. And Goran Veg's pretty much made a living out of being a rim protector. Super athletic, long arms, got legs like quadriceps. It's interesting. Sam Hyman's finding a way to get into those very small crevices that are being created by the structure of the Hills defence, but finding his way in. That's the third or fourth time since he's been on the floor that he's been able to get to that basket. You mentioned it just a few minutes ago, Davey. He's been a real point, a bit of an X factor in this quarter. Yeah, exactly.
To be able to come out and do what he's done.
There goes another point there. Takes it to 21-11 for the Bears. Every team needs one of those slashing players that you sort of just hit as they drive, who don't have any regard whatsoever for their own, for their own body or whatever, but they make those bread and butter plays each and every time when they do it. And it's really hard to stop as well when they do get on that roll. It's a nice shot there. That looks pretty good from the hand, straight in for number 6, David Heyman for the Hornets.
That's probably something, given the fact that Hills have been struggling to get points on the board, looking at that semi-trans option. I think Hills have some wonderful scorers on the floor. Dave Heyman's definitely one of those guys, getting an early good look at the rim. Let's see if they go to it again. They're down the floor early. Jamie Newth with ball in hand. You'd want to get back to Heyman.
Well, that's his spot there.
They have.
He's fed it into the centre. Nice spin move there. A bit of a bump.
Look, good defence by Dan Young there. I think I brought that up earlier on. Oh, I'll tell you what, back-to-back threes, and the entire dynamic of this game has changed in under 30 seconds based on back-to-back threes, which both teams actually have that capabilities. It's not one without the other. Brendan Reimer, stay on the ground. Oh, that's a wonderful move. He faked every single person out in the court, then including his own teammates.
Yes. And again, just they aren't panicking though, the Bears. They're just going about it, getting their points bit by bit. They're going to try and keep the crowd out of it.
Which is key when you're in an away venue.
Absolutely.
In round one, Hills actually got back from a 15-point deficit to win that game in the first round of the season. Jamie Newt just with a strange release. He's actually a very, very good shooter in his own right. With an odd release, I don't know whether it slipped out of his hand, but Jamie's a mid 40% three-point shooter. For it to come out of his hand like that, I'm guessing there might have been a little sweat on the ball.
A little bit of something there. He certainly didn't look good. But Sam Hyman again getting that jumper just a few metres out from the block there, and was able to get it. They're up 26-17. They're certainly going. It's a bit of a scrap. It's the ball's on the ground there underneath the basket for the Bears.
If that goes. All right, so that's 4 threes that Hills have shot in the last 4 trips.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think they're being forced into them.
Yeah, I think so. Down the bottom there, your main man, he's struggling, Goran Veg, at the moment, getting those looks down. He's making the moves, he's making those post moves, and that was too easy. Sort of just dropped off there, lost sight of where the ball was.
Well, you know what? I'm not a betting man, but at the start of the game, I would have bet that Hills would have had that significant advantage in the front court. Well, I'm being made to be a fool, given the fact that North in that area of the court would probably have advantage.
Yeah, exactly. A couple of times there, he's taken it to the rack underneath with those post moves. Just dropped his head at the wrong time and just not being able to get it back up to get that shot nice and clearly. A couple of times it's banked off and lipped out for him. They're starting to make him pay a little bit. They've extended that lead to 28-17 here, the Bears.
Well, it's almost as if Hills have totally lost their compass settings. There's no east to west. Their willingness to go north to south isn't there.
No, that's
They're
right.
kind of stuck in the middle of a broken compass.
Yeah, exactly right.
Oh, that's a great pass.
There we go. That's a nice
Tell you
drive
what,
and a good foul.
you could rest your money on Paul Brotherson finishing that.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe they need to get him moving towards the basket a little bit quicker and hitting him. They're trying to move the scoring around a little bit as they take a timeout, the Hills Hornets. They're trying to move it around for other guys, and it worked for a little bit with those three-point shots for Jamie Newth and David Heyman. But they need to get some other guys hitting those boards hard and taking it to the rack.
Basketball New South Wales would like to thank their official partners, New South Wales Office of Sport, Spalding Carney Sports Marketing, PCYC Custom College Recruitment, Cedar College New South Wales, the exciting Sydney Kings, which I think everyone involved or looking at that roster this year, the Sydney Kings not only have been well recruited, I think they've recruited not just superstars, but superstars that are going to fit.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I'd hate to count my chickens before they hatch, but
exactly.
I'm really excited. You know, I think the backcourt combination, Andrew Bogut's, you know, you can add him to any roster this year and you're going to get excited about it. But it's the guys who, Daniel Kickett, Brad Newley, the guys who needed someone like that. You know, Jerome Randall, if he stays fit and healthy with Kevin Lish, we could be looking at the best 1-2 backcourt combination in the history of the league. I know that's big because there's been some.
That's a big call, Tom. That's a big call.
There's been some impressive 1-2 punches with the likes of Andrew Gaze, Leonard Copeland. Ironically, they're the head and assistant coach of the Sydney Kings.
That's it.
But really looking forward to it. The remaining sponsors, of course, the Sydney Uni Flames and the Allied Couriers. So we've got Paul Brotherson going to the line for his N1 after Dave Heyman flicked the ball on for a nice little assist. Paul Brotherson looking for a traditional three-point play, which of course he converts, and we now have a 6-point game. 8-point game, sorry, Davey.
8-point game, 28-20, yeah. So there's still just got that little bit of space between them, but you can hear the crowd starting to come into it.
That's not a good matchup for Hills. Dorbeck's going to win that matchup 9 times out of 10. But credit to Hills and their team rebounding. They've got themselves in a situation.
Oh, we just left that behind.
Well, look, Cabrera was taken off because of foul trouble, 2 early ones. And he's a confidence player. Not only that, he's a confidence player that's contagious for the rest of his team. So you'd like to see him in the course of the game get a sniff of confidence, and you watch this guy light it up. Dave Heyman, impressed with his minutes. Up to this point, Chapman back on the floor. Some really good substitutions. And there we go again. That kind of looked a little forced.
He certainly was moving in the right direction there, but it's not a bad-looking team. It's a good balanced team at the moment for the Hills Hornets. They've got some size on the wings, they've got some speed up front, and some height in the middle. Oh, try and convert it. There we go, there's Paul Brotherson again, taking it on. He's doing it at both ends of the court for the Hornets. He's keeping them in it at the moment.
He really is, single-handedly. Interesting. That's the second time I would suggest there's a reaching foul.
Yeah.
But look, credit to the referees. They're allowing it to go both ends. So it's not as if one team's gaining an advantage over the other. It's just interesting just how physical the game is being allowed to be called.
Yeah, exactly. And it's probably what you want as a player as well. You don't want every little, indiscretion called. You want to get a little bit of leeway as long as it goes both ways.
You know what? They've worked so hard there for a stop there, and Anatoly Bose, again, showing the class of a guy who's playing at this level with years of experience being paid to play the game.
Yeah, exactly right. They, for all money, it looked like they were going to get that turnover there, the Hornets, but they were able to scrap it out, the Bears, and get it and convert it into points to take a 10-point lead, double figures.
Hills better watch their backs. It's Norths just have that way and have done so through the season to just continue to put pressure on. Wonderful pass.
Nice dump into the middle there. Open man. The centre just drifted over to him and he found him and he was able to convert that to take a 12-point lead. The North Bears are looking pretty good. They'll be pretty happy going into the sheds at half-time. 2.5 minutes to go in this semi-final.
There's another reach.
He hasn't called that one either.
He's called out of bounds, and Hills probably have something to talk about, but I don't know whether or not it's the missed call or just simply the increase of intensity that Norths are probably catching Hills out a little bit?
Yeah, I think so. I think in games gone by, they probably would have called those nice and early. But it is semi-finals, and the game changes just a little bit, not only from a playing perspective, but a referee perspective as well.
Interesting mind game being played there by North, allowing some of the Hills players to take uncontested shots.
Yeah.
I actually got a chance to talk to Coach Knight from North's middle of third quarter of the previous game, and you know he's spent plenty of time off the court assessing game tape from his team and obviously by Hills, and he probably knows who is and who isn't the threat out there on the court, and he's probably given direct instructions to the players that he leads as to who he has to play up on, what they can do, what their tendencies are. He's an outstanding basketball, he's a student of the game, Ben Knight, and his ability to pass that information onto his players is absolutely second to none. Ergo, the fact he wins another Coach of the Year award. I think it might be second or third in his tenure at the North Bears. So I'm not that surprised that he's come out here with a group that have been prepared, well drilled and ready to play.
Yeah, exactly. You've got to prepare not only physically but mentally for these big matches and make sure you cover all of the danger players on the team, on the opposition, because otherwise you're going to get caught napping, and they certainly haven't been caught napping after they have clawed back that lead. The Bears are leading 32-21 here at the Hills Basketball Stadium. The Hornets, though, not too far away, 11 points behind, still within reaching distance and still a long way to go. But we've got to get those rebounds, especially on the defensive end. Plenty of height there. But again, a couple of big bodies from the Bears have made it a little bit harder for them.
There's another O-board. Yeah. That was a hustle O-board, wasn't necessarily positional. Lyndon Smith-Hyde here. Really good look inside to a classy player. Dorbeck with an interesting air ball. Let's see if Cabrera can do something with this break to get himself going.
Yep. Well, he certainly did something, Dom. He threw it out.
On the fall to the person in the second row.
Yeah, exactly. He really has to maybe have to sit down and just have a little breather. They've called the timeout, which is probably good for Cabrera to sort of have that, just that little think. His teammates are sitting there, still patting him on the back. He's going to the bench and he's sitting down, so he'll come back in after that.
Well, you know what it is, Davey. They know the importance of Adrian playing well for this group.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a late 20, early 30-minute a game guy through the run of the season. You need him to contribute a lot more than what he's doing. What are we talking here? I know he had early foul trouble, but he's looking at 13 minutes, so he's played just a tick over half the game up to this point. He's 0-2 from the field goals, 0-1 from the three-point line, 6 rebounds, which is handy for a guard.
Yeah, exactly.
That's around his season average, but already 4 turnovers. But you can see that even though he's having a bad game, he's got 3 steals. His plus-minus is -7, which isn't great for a guy that I would put up in that upper echelon of the league.
Yeah. But the good thing is, though, from a playing perspective, he still hasn't gone any shell. He's still prepared to take it down there, push it where he needs to. It's just some of the other guys, their hands just need to be there, or they just need to be that fraction crisper, those passes, to make sure that they get to where they want them so they can score some points. Still a long way to go in the game. It's just about a minute to go to half-time, so while this half may be run and done very soon, the second half could be a different thing we saw in the rugby league. I think it was last night, where the Titans were down by plenty, and all of a sudden
they came back.
And they came back and killed it in the second half.
Incredible.
Absolutely. So it could be a game of 2 halves here, and it'll definitely need to be for the Hornets as they head towards half-time. Oh, nice up and under, and got it as well.
Bose again, that's 3 or 4 opportunities there where you can't let someone like Bose's class play. That's a lovely pass. Oh, did he travel?
Oh. Probably should have let him have a look at scoring that where he was. Might have been a tough one underneath the basket almost. But they did get the foul there, the Bears. Yeah, Anatoly Bose, he did pretty well. He sort of drove it in there, took it in, bounced it in, went for the up and under, missed it, but got his rebound and put it back in. And that is good commitment to scoring, that's for sure. That's what you want to watch. Any youngsters watching, that's what you want to do. When your shot's done, you still got to go for the ball because you might miss.
Yeah. You're just looking across here, there's it's really been the Anatoly Bose versus Paul Brotherson game up to this point. We've got a 12-point game, Davey, with just under a tick over 20 seconds. Interesting to see what they can generate here with a 4-second differential between the shot clock and the game clock. Jimmy McCann just grafting out a little bit of an offensive set. Linden with unfortunately a long and left shot.
Yeah.
3 seconds to go. Cabrera, he also has a look. Well, a bit of an odd finish to what was pretty much all Norths through that quarter and a half of basketball. It'll be interesting. I think the key points will be offensive rebounding for Hills. They've got to stop the offensive opportunities. The weird rebounds, the passionate play, the 50-50s or the 1%ers that we talk about. There's just too many of them are falling into the hands of the Bears.
Yep.
I think Coach Knight won't be too bothered about the result. I think he'll probably be a little bit bothered with the fact that they've only been able to graft out 34 points in a half.
Yeah. But in a game like this, whatever it takes to win, you win. Whether it's 1 point, half a point, it doesn't matter. So you can't be too distressed or unhappy about how they're going. They certainly have their measure at the moment, the Bears over the Hornets. But the Hornets, they've got a lot to play for and a lot of work to do to get back into this game. They just keep going through the motions and, getting those streaky points when they can. It's going to be a long night for them. So they really need to sort of turn it around. There might be some yelling here, so we'll probably go to a break soon so you don't hear any of the profanities on the stream from Basketball New South Wales, Dom. We don't want to hear that, but I tell you what, they have got some work to do in this second half. But looking pretty good here. The North Bears are looking pretty good in the first half of this second semi-final. It is going to be a cracker.
Dave,
second half.
Let's grab ourselves a drink and water, of course, and we'll be back on with a few minutes left to go in the halftime break. There's a Hornet currently loose, dancing and jiving at half court. Look, just quickly, great job by the Hills Hornets Association putting on a wonderful event. The event in itself, just as an event and a tournament, is always very well run by Basketball New South Wales. But credit to always difficult to host so many people in such a short period of time. But credit to the club and all the sponsors who make these sort of days and these competitions happen.
Absolutely. We'll see you after the break right here for the second half of this semi-final.
See ya. Well, welcome back, Davey. Number of very interesting things have come up as we look a little closer into the box scores. You know, there's a number of players here on the Hills Hornets team that haven't actually seen a lot of court time.
Yep.
You know, there's a number of players here with under 10 minutes, which means they're either going to have a lot of energy down the stretch because they can now start to use that depth, or the players that have been used are going to be fatigued.
Yeah, exactly right, exactly right. You want to mix it up and give your starters and your stars a bit of a break, but it looks like they're in for the long haul as well. It might also mean that they're going to stick with the tried and tested guys that they have started the match for them and that they can rely on. And I think at the moment, maybe that's the way to go. Experimentation in this next quarter might be at a minimal, and combinations will be at that set sort of combination, I think. Just so that they can get back into the game, get some rhythm going and try and make a real big push in that final quarter.
Well, the thing that stands out to me, as it did at the end of that first quarter with Paul Brothers scoring all of 11 of Hills points, you've got 14 points from Paul Brotherson, which is very respectable. If he stays on that path, he's looking down the barrel of a 30-point game. But the other players, you know, the next player along has 3 points.
Yeah.
You know, that's not enough at this level. It's pretty easy to coach against when you've only got one guy generating an enormous amount. What are we talking? Close to more than half of the points, 67% of the points scored for Hills have been generated by Paul Brotherson.
Yeah, absolutely. Even though it is, one person doing the bulk of that scoring, you still got to stop him. That's the thing. So they'll still have their work cut out and keeping an eye on him there. But like you said, once you get somebody covered who is doing that bulk of the scoring, you need the other guys to lift a little bit. And they just haven't had that second-tier player come through consistently and get some more points. So the Hornets need to spread their scoring around a little bit. Look for a few different options coming into it, I think. Into this second half, they'll be looking for a few guys to sort of step up and make that extra points to make it a little bit easier for them as well. So
yeah. So both teams, well, we can see the starters at the moment for Hills. They've come out with the same starters they had, and it looks like the same for North Bears. So this will be very interesting. Nick Blair didn't play an enormous amount of the court time. He actually only played a quarter of that half. So he only played just a tick over 5 minutes in that first half. So he should be energised and ready to play. As I said, Nick is a volatile scorer. And that in its own way is probably an understatement. Dude can put up 30 and a half with his eyes closed.
Yeah, absolutely. And it harks back to what you said earlier, Dom, about having that energy and having plenty in reserve. You want a guy who can score at that sort of clip to have plenty of energy and look into this second half. He could really light it up. Porter's just moving that ball around the top of the arc there, looking for some penetration. Certainly not finding it, and calls the travel nice and early, almost where he left off in terms of attacking that key, whether it is turning over or dropping the ball or passing it out. He's having a bit of a Dickens of a night, old man.
It's like a tomato in a saucy bolognese. Sometimes it can just be trying to do too much.
Yeah, exactly. Little kick out there.
Hyde. That's a lovely shot. Really good dribble.
Exactly.
And you know what, deserved all of that. Played heavily behind two screens there and ends up with a nice look.
That's it. He was so deep into the corner there. It didn't look like he was going to make it, or he was going to even have a look at the basket, but he arced it high and got it. There we go. There's
you know what, that could be a trigger for him. That's an unconventional shot that Cabrera makes light work of, really. Interesting to see whether on Hills. I don't feel like they've come out with any lift in their defensive intensity. That's Bears back-to-back getting the shot that they wanted. No one forced the ball from a defensive perspective in around that key area. Interesting to see what the Hills run. There's that high pick and roll. Goran Veg. Oh, that's unfortunate. He's looking for the foul, but when you're that big and that strong, there shouldn't be a whole lot of contact that stops you scoring an uncontested shot. Nick Blair, that's a really good effort by a guy that would be considered undersized at his position.
Exactly. Good rebound there as well, contesting hard for the
Goran
ball.
Veg, look, earned that back. Probably angered himself for missing that layup. Oh, Cabrera, that is... Look, I tell you what, sometimes when you miss a shot like that, the way he did, it's as good as an assist.
Yeah, exactly.
You're throwing the ball off the glass to your big for an easy putback.
Exactly, and Veg made his way down there to get that putback in after missing what was an easy layup only a few seconds ago. It was real fundamental stuff that he missed.
Goran Veg has been the MVP for the last 45 seconds.
He has been. Call it now. Sit him on the bench. Take it home.
Paulie Brotherson. This will be interesting to see. They've gone straight to Rob Merrick. Yeah. That is a great shot by Robbie Merrick. He on the other side is the X-Factor player for him. Yeah. Nothing razzle-dazzle about him. Very no frills. Looks like he's got some sort of plaster above his eye. That might have been something you and I missed, Davey, in the course of the game.
I think he might have copped it in one of those hard fouls that were going into the defensive
Needless to say, the guy's got probably stitches in his eye and he's just chucked himself at the ground. Rob Merrick has just, I tell you what, the ticker on this bloke.
He's absolutely lining it up at both ends there. He gets that steal, gives the pass, runs down the court and gets the foul down the other end after what was a delicious little jumper there from about 10, 12 feet out. It was a perfect one. That was what you want. And if they can find that space just around the edges there, keep those bigs inside, they're going to come back pretty quick. They've already come back and scored a few points to take it to an 8-point game.
Game still emotionally feels a little bit like in the balance.
Yeah.
I would say momentum-wise probably towards the Hornets, but the numerical advantage obviously still lays there with interesting, probably looked a bit fatigued in that release, to be honest, from the free throw line.
I think both of those efforts there did miss, so it was not the best result from a hard foul, but he certainly is putting in on the floor at the moment for the Hornets, and it's definitely what they need. That X-Factor needs to come in to play. They certainly need a circuit breaker to get them back into it. We did see Goran Veg take that role for a little bit there with a couple of defensive plays as well.
That's his second foul, which is actually quite good considering that he's the last line of defence at the rim for Hills in the main course of the game.
Yeah, exactly.
So you don't mind midway through the third quarter that your main rim stopper has put themselves in that position of only having 2 fouls. Cabrera here, lovely pass inside. Rob Merrick overshot that shot. It certainly looks to me that Hills on an offensive perspective have turned up the wick. Defensively, I just think really, I think Hills are allowing North to get too close to the cup to shoot their shots. They're going to shoot a high clip. That was interesting.
Absolutely. Anatoly Bose there, he had that ball coming in against 2 defenders. He was always going to do one thing, and that was go to the rack, and he certainly did. But again, he got his own rebound and took it up and managed to grab that foul as well. So he's got 2 shots at the line there for the Bears. He sinks the first one. It's a 9-point lead to the North's Bears at the moment, courtesy of Bose.
Shout out to Timmy Hudson, one of the most important people in basketball New South Wales, in the landscape of basketball New South Wales. G'day Timmy, welcome to the live stream. Very important part of Central Coast basketball.
Just creeped out with that second free throw there to a 10-point lead. The Bears still don't look flustered, that's for sure, even though the Hornets are coming back hard at them on the court in this third quarter.
I like this lineup for Hornets, I really do. I think it's a bit of do-everything team. They've got some really good balance. Oh, that's a wonderful pass. Tell you what, Dave Heyman has come to play. It's really lovely to see a guy who's been pushed into a position in the bench. He's traditionally a starter for this group, and it looks like he's taken that role on with both hands. So
he's certainly getting some good looks and getting it to the person that needs the ball. He's going to grow into it the rest of this game, I think.
Yeah, really good call, Davey. Yeah. I agree. He's a momentum player too. He could bang that on. No, into Paul Brotherson. I like that they're starting a lot of their stuff in this circumstance. That's the situation. Oh, a lot of contact there.
A foul there. That was a lazy foul coming off that shot there. He's starting to look a little bit fatigued.
Yeah, that's a really good call.
Yeah, so it's starting to become a little bit fatigued. He's certainly putting in plenty of effort up and down the court, old Robbie Merrick.
Second personal, so the coach isn't going to be too bothered by that. Again, a very physical player to only have 2 fouls this deep into a game.
Yeah.
Excellent defense, individual defense. Let's see if the rest of his team can feed off that. That's a massive shot. And there's that Nick Blair. you know, that could ring true for the rest of this quarter and game. If Nick Blair finds any sort of opening down in that corner, that's a great pass. Oh,
and the foul as well.
Look, we are being served up some excellent basketball. Both teams have come out of the sheds with an obvious motivation to make sure that they put their best foot forward.
Yeah, absolutely. They're finding those guys, the Hornets, that are trailing through and getting it to them. The guards are getting it to the ball as they're heading hard and fast towards the basket. And they're being rewarded by not only the points falling sometimes, but the fouls as well.
Oh, look, Hills need to be like a fine sculpturist. They just need to chip away.
Yes, exactly.
They just need to chip away. Take some time. You know, you've still got an enormous portion of this game. We're only halfway through the third quarter. That's lazy. It's going to be hard work as a sculpturist if you're not working with your chisels.
Yeah, exactly right.
You know, you can't give away offensive rebounds when there's 1 North Spare and 3 Hills Hornets.
Yeah.
And I know Anatoli's got ridiculously long arms, but you've just got to put a bum against him and push him out of that position. You can't allow him just to put his arms in the air and get a rebound.
Yeah, it sort of dinked off the rim there and sort of made his timing a little bit hard to get it. And I think he sort of mistimed it. But the Bears are able to capitalise with that and get the ball to go up for the foul.
Interesting sub here, and one I think you called for a couple of plays ago here. You've got Josh Chapman, so a guard-orientated player that's come on here for the blue-collar Rob Merrick.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Interesting to see whether or not that makes a change for them. You know, as I said, Chapman, an all-star 5 player, 12 points a game, 6 rebounds a game, 4 assists a game at 47% from the field. You'd hope to start, from a coaching perspective, you'd hope to start seeing a little bit of that in the remaining parts of this game.
The thing is, though, don't discount his...
there he is, on cue. Shot fake, hard dribble to the middle of the floor, kick to his teammate that he's played with for eons, and... You know, the majority of the crowd here know what Dave Heyman's capable of at that charity, the three-point line.
Yeah, exactly. It is that captain thing that is a real X factor. When you're going gets tough, you want your captain there with you side by side, fighting in the trenches to get back into the game, and that is certainly what Josh Chapman has.
Wow! Sorry about the feedback there. That's back-to-back threes. And look, we called it before, Davey.
Yeah, exactly.
He is in a position now where there's a little bit of pressure off. When you're coming off the bench as a player, no one's expecting you to blow the doors down. It's like it's a freedom to shoot. It's a freedom to pass. Well, I'll tell you what. The thing that's really lifted right here has been the defensive rebounding, the positioning by the Hills Hornets. We talked about it just going into the half, that was an area that they had to address, and they have.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
credit to both the players and clearly Terry Johnson for addressing it. I'm not 100% sure that is the shot that Hills wanted in that circumstance.
No, there's no defenders for a good 3 or 4 metres in front of him, and he had all of that room to cut off. He could take it in a couple of steps and then go for that jump shot, but he just let it go from way too far. His confidence is way down at the moment, but he's still in there fighting, trying to get there, and thankfully some of the other guys are picking up the slack as well in terms of that scoring. All of a sudden it's a 4-point game. That Bears 10-point lead has evaporated somewhat. They really need to make sure that they can score a little bit more in the rest of this quarter. Anatoly Bose has put it up.
Well, Hills right now are on a 16-8 run since the start of the quarter. So they need a lot more of it. Norths need to find a way, and they have.
They certainly did. That was a great bounce pass there, and quick as well.
Oh, Jimmy McCann, you could rest your house on the fact that he's going to make that 9 times out of 10. Solid, fundamental basketball with so much energy.
That was a great pass, great delivery, and he finished the way they should have. Just gives them a little bit of breathing space there. 6-point lead there. As we call another sub, Veg comes on.
Good minutes by Veg.
Yeah,
good minutes.
Unbelievable.
Good minutes.
He's
defensive minutes.
He's getting there, that's for sure. I'm sure his points, he's got a few now. He'd be close to 7 or 8, I believe.
Oh, they got him off the ground. I don't know why Jimmy McCann's arguing that call.
Yeah.
He basically shouldered the ball handler in Josh Chapman there. Interesting. That's the 3rd foul on Jimmy McCann.
Yeah.
You're talking top 5 defensive player in the league having to make a sub. Good sub by Coach Knight. You can't leave your best defensive player on the court with this much of the game left to go. So, again, really champagne level coaching by both coaches from each club. and interesting to see Cabrera again. Look, he's forcing that. You know, I think, I don't know whether or not they've got the troops for it, but you, interesting no call, but I don't think he had control of the ball, so to be fair, even though there was a parochial Hills crowd wanting a call, I think the referees made the right decision. Sam Heyman again from the three-point line. Is this offensive rebounding becoming an issue again, Davey?
Yeah, exactly. That's 4 looks they've had. Even though they haven't got the basket, they are still attacking it with the Bears with intention from downtown a bit long.
Another offensive rebound.
And
that's
again,
now 4 shots on the one trip.
Unbelievable. They've really set up camp down here. They've just got to find the right guy or get that foul.
And it comes from a steal. How ironic. Interesting no foul call. And yet Hills just simply aren't getting their hands on the offensive ball.
Yeah, exactly.
So right again, as mentioned at the halftime break, that's been the difference. Lovely move.
Good move, held onto that, spun around like a top. Old Ryman was able to get the 2 points there. Gives them a bit of breathing space, takes it back to 8 for the Bears. They don't look panicked, they don't look rushed at the moment.
No, credit to them. Even though they got into a bit of a hole there. I'd personally like to see a lot more of that. I think Josh Chapman hasn't been. I would actually want a role reversal between how Cabrera has been attacking the rim versus Chapman.
Yep.
I'd like them to play opposite. I want Cabrera to look to distribute more.
Yep.
And Chapman, because I think the matchup, his physical size, he's unassuming in terms of his quickness because he's quite wide.
Yep.
But his ability to get to the rim and get a decent look at the rim, I think that's going to probably be a point of difference because he's a great free throw shooter.
Yeah, exactly.
In saying that, I made note of the fact Jimmy McCann has gone 41 of 45 for the season.
Oh, well, there you go.
That's good free throw shooting.
That is very good free throw. That's almost a 92, 95%.
You can bet your bottom dollar if there's a tech foul and Jimmy's on the court, he's shooting them.
Yeah. You can hear the chant going up from the crowd, not only in the stands but on the bench as well. They're looking for that defensive stop. They've got to within 6 points here. And again, that was just a big foul there.
Hills can't get down on themselves here. They're having to play an up-tempo defensive structure, and when you play up-tempo, you are going to get caught with your hand in the cookie jar, and that was a situation there. You don't necessarily mind that. The only thing that I'd probably have a problem with there was just how easy Hyman was about to able to get through the middle of the court.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't have too much of a problem if a player drives that hard and aggressively and gets open on the baseline.
Yep.
But to come through the guts of your defence.
Well, that's right. Yeah, exactly right. And as a big man as well, you don't want those ticky-tacky fouls going your way. You want to make them count because you know that if you do put somebody on their backside, they won't be doing it again next time in a hurry. That's for sure. But there's nothing worse as a player and as a centre when all you do is just brush somebody and they call you for a foul. It's like, oh.
Well, that's interesting. They've actually taken Chapman off the court here and replaced him with Jamie Newth, which means if you look physically, Norths have a significant size advantage.
Yeah, they do. They've got a couple of big players there where they need them to do all the heavy lifting underneath the basket. But they balance it up with a bit of speed as well, so they're looking pretty good, pretty balanced at the moment, whereas the Hornets have just gone for that
Cabrera
smaller rotation.
This is... I said it at the start of this game, the reliance that Hills have on this young man to play a good game is evident of some of the results this year.
Yep.
And he's just come out and, he's sort of presented a turkey at the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
But he's a class player, so he'll have an entire fourth quarter to make amends.
Yeah, well, that's it. He's only got the fourth quarter left. He's got to do something because it'll be nighty-night for the season if he doesn't. He's coming down to the top of the key there, looking for somewhere to distribute it. Cabrera shoots it off. Oh, rims out, in and out. But a good putback, but still doesn't fall for the Hornets. Nice spin move.
Yeah, lovely spin move.
Drive.
He's missed that, but I tell you what, he basically went 1-on-4 to the rim and has nearly come up with an absolute peach.
Unbelievable. Mick Jaggered that, lipped out. Just unfortunately.
He's Mick Jaggered that, Davey. That's outstanding. And Brotherson, you got to keep going to the well. I mean, he's been really quiet in this third quarter, and interesting enough. Oh, I think he might have got bumped on that release.
He thought. I think he was looking for the foul.
Tough angle for all three referees to have made that call. So
yeah. Paul Brotherson, though, very quiet, like you said, in that third quarter. Didn't get too many looks at the basket, so they weren't really feeding him, getting to do some of the donkey work underneath the rim for putbacks and that kind of stuff. But he is their main scoring weapon and the one that is keeping in it. The Bears lead 48-42 here as we head to three-quarter time. Plenty of work still to be done for the Hornets. They're within touching distance, which is good for them. But again, it is going to come down to this final quarter. The Bears don't look too panicked either. They got back to within a handful, but they were able to find the right options to keep the scoring going. I liked your man Nicholas Blair there from North's camp down in that corner. A couple of times he was there and open as well. He did get a couple of three-point shots there, and look for more of that. If they can get the defence moving to where the ball is and kick it over to that free man, he's going to get a couple of good looks in this last quarter to put the icing for the Bears on their cake if he can. But the Hornets are here to spoil the party, Dom, and it's going to be a big party in this final quarter.
Great assessment, Davey. Everything's spot on there, mate. A couple of shout-outs to the sponsors. Spalding being the official ball partner to the entire Basketball New South Wales. CSM, merchandise and clothing apparel supplier for the Basketball New South Wales. Metropolitan Junior League is proudly supported by the Sydney Kings. The official Spalding Waratah League game ball is now available. You can visit Basketball New South Wales online store at www.basketballnewsouthwales.com.au to purchase yours today. And are you interested in attending a USA college? Would you like to learn more about what's involved in being recruited to play basketball in the US? Talk to Custom College Recruitment, Basketball New South Wales official college recruitment partner. You can visit them at www.customcollegerecruiting.com to learn more.
You keep asking me if I want to go. I want to go, Dom. I want to go. Put me in, coach. I've got hoop dreams.
You do, and you'd be a wonderful pickup. How do you go up peeling oranges?
No, not too bad. Not too bad. I tend to cut them straight through the middle. None of this peeling stuff. It's beneath me.
Oh. Aggressive restart to the game.
Yeah, straight into it. They're not letting off. They are actually going hard at it again. They're not going to rest on their laurels here. It's a little bit too close for them to sort of say, right, we can put this in the bag now. They've got plenty of work to do, and driving hard to the basket is a sure sign that they are keen and up for
it. Interesting here. Hills look to have stayed in their man. It doesn't look like both sides have made too many adjustments out of their man. I think they're waiting for one team to make a change before the other. So from what I can see from my knowledge of the game, both teams have stuck fairly consistent to their man-to-man. At this point, obviously, Norths have been the one to bear more fruit.
Yep.
He's trying to dribble the dots off the ball. He's gone to Weishman, who, I tell you what,
he got it.
As a big man, releases the ball as high as you possibly want. He releases that thing at 12 feet. Hard to block it when it's going down, off trajectory.
Yeah, absolutely. And a good spot for him there at the top of the key there on those elbows. As a centre, you need to make sure that you have that in your arsenal when you are scoring points.
Great pass. Dan Young, unselfish. Oh, look straight to Dorbeck. You know what? They probably deserve a better result. Oh, I'll tell you what. Brotherson's got, I think he got a little errant elbow under the rim.
Yeah, as he was coming through, a little bit winded there, it seems. We've got the court girls on there just making sure any sweat is out the way. But he's blowing hard and they're making the sub if it comes back on for him so he can catch his breath.
Great job. Great job. Shout out to the auxiliary staff here at Hills. It's just been a super professional day today and certainly going to continue on for tomorrow. So well done to Hills again. Back screen there, little zipper sideline play. Interesting to see whether or not Brennan Reimer can play out of here. I think he's got the advantage over here in the post with Newth. Certainly not when Weishman comes. Oh, he's just goaltended his own basket. Well, what interesting. Yeah, it's just a young player, enthusiastic young player.
Well, it didn't look like it was actually going to drop, so I can see why he had a second bite at it. David did fall on that second time, but we're going to see what happens here.
I don't know if you realise this, but we're looking at a 4-point game with a quarter to go.
Yeah.
And we're only in the 40s.
Yeah. He's got the two shots there, so they're not going to count those points there. It is a very low-scoring game at the moment, but the fact is that it is back to that 4-point margin. So all of a sudden, with a couple of points, it is back to a really close one. and it all comes down to that momentum. Is that free throw, the first one there for young Brennan Reimer. He was able to get that one. He kicks it out to 5-point lead for the Bears.
Lovely action.
Snags the second one. He's back to 6 points. But still, if a bit of momentum goes the other way, all of a sudden the Hornets...
This is good defence by North.
Yeah.
They don't... The scenario of the game doesn't require them to be putting backcourt pressure on, but you can tell that there's been in the regular season there's been an enormous amount of expectation put on Cabrera's shoulders to take care of that, and it doesn't look to me like there was an enormous amount of support back there to run sort of a two-guard front up the court. Yeah,
that's right, and obviously the coach has highlighted that he's having a bit of a quiet game, not the best sort of game, and told his players to get a bit of pressure on him.
Look out. Look out. We could be eating both of our words here soon, Davey. But we said Cabrera's a class player. He has the ability to break himself out of this three-quarter funk. Oh, I'll tell you what, he's probably got away with a reach there, but Heyman, good step through. Oh, I'll tell you what.
Good basket. Here's that turnaround. All of a sudden, that momentum is going back the way of the Hills Hornets.
This is the last thing that the North Bears wanted, was the crowd and the team to get a sniff.
Yeah, exactly.
They're an emotional team. You know, Hills are looking to win their first ever title.
Yep.
All of that combined makes a fairly passionate concoction for the Hills team to want to take care of business over the North Bears.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. The first thing that they did, though, a couple of the players and the coaching staff for the Bears, was call them in nice and tight and just settled them down. Let's shake it off, guys. Let's get back into it. Let's focus on what we need to do. They're running high in emotions over the Hornets at the moment. They're chest bumping. You can hear the crowd going, "We will rock you." They want this. They can sniff it. They can smell it. They can get this ball back. And they get a stop and then move it back into the offensive hands of some of their key players. All of a sudden, if they can hit a three from way downtown, they are going to bring the roof down here.
Oh, Dave, sorry, mate. We're looking at the difference between a 26-16 third and fourth quarter differential.
Yeah.
So Hills have taken notes out of what they obviously had to learn in that first half, and they've come out here with an intensity. I like what they're doing at the offensive end. I don't think too much has changed other than some execution. Goran Veg just pumping the crowd up. He's a veteran of this league. He knows that this is a monumental shift in the emotions of the game.
Yeah, exactly.
But what I'm more impressed of is the willingness now in the last 3 minutes for Hills to crash the defensive glass. That's been the difference.
Exactly right. You can see that they've changed up. They're putting lots of pressure high on the inbound pass from the Bears. Didn't quite pay off that time, but certainly made them work really hard to get that ball to where they want it. Reimer's looking to take that ball from the top there, gets it out to McCann. Oh, just bounces off the front there. Probably didn't need to fade away. Could have drove to the basket with that. Had plenty of time and plenty of space as well for the Bears. But this next basket is going to be a big one. Whoever scores it, expect plenty of noise.
Oh, great pass inside. Looking for backdoor. Back to Weishman from that sort of extended mid-range.
Yeah.
As a coach, you don't actually have a problem with your big who can shoot well shooting from there, because it's going to stretch the floor.
Oh, absolutely.
Brendan Reimer. Cabrera, you know what? Credit to Adrian Cabrera. He's probably got 7 inches less than against Dan Young, and he's been able to contest it enough that Dan Young's tipped the ball out of bounds.
Yeah, exactly. So made it very difficult on that defensive end.
You love a good rebounding guard. Not many of them around. He's got 7 for the game, which is right at around his average. Jamie Newth. Tell you what, that goes down. The roof's in real trouble. Look, it's still a 2-point game, but it feels very much like if there was a seesaw, you're leaning hard on the hillside.
Yeah,
even though they're down on the scoreboard. Jimmy McCann, you'd love to have Jimmy McCann on your team in this scenario.
Oh, absolutely. It's a good strong basket there
Dorbeck.
as well. That's what they needed, the Bears, just to settle it down.
Eric Dorbeck is a premium player in this league. He'd make it on every single team in every single roster, and he'd be a starter in every single team in the league. So that's no surprise that the creams rise to the top there in terms of... Yes, it's in Heyman's hands here. There's 7 seconds left. He's actually lost that ball. It's gone back the other way. It's 6 seconds to go. Let's see what sort of creative offense. TJ doesn't look like he's calling anything here. Nothing's been called. It's just going to be down to Cabrera to create something. 4 seconds. That's great defence. Are you joking?
Oh,
that was an incredible shot attempt, considering the defence was absolutely premium.
Absolutely. They had a bit of a mismatch, so it was lucky that they got that ball back. The Hornets have got the ball back off that defensive rebound. Cabrera's just, he's breaking ankles out there. He's finding the right man to get that shot, but unfortunately he just
That's a good shot. That's a good shot. You're not disappointed from a player's perspective. You are that it didn't go down, but you're happy with the shot decision. Jamie Newth is a solid three-point shooter, and it was uncontested.
Oh, exactly. It was the right guy for the shot and the right position, but just didn't fall for them.
Cabrera again, that's his 8th or 9th rebound. I mean, he's doing a great job at that area, and he's just sort of gotten himself back into this game after a fairly average start for him. Yeah. This is a match. Oh, great pass inside. Weishman, you would have expected that to go in.
A little bit too much backspin on that, certainly didn't help him.
That's good defence. And a great shot, great shot. Well, that's now back out to 4 points. Hills have probably just got to be a little bit sensitive in terms of the decision-making down this end of the floor. The last 2 shots have been excellent choices.
Oh, and that's strip there.
That's just good defence.
And it was low as well. Hyman again. Another 2 points there. He's having a bit of a breakout night tonight, old Sammy Hyman for North. He is, every time he gets on, he's making motion, he's getting points, he's doing it on the defensive end as well. He's certainly having a good one. Timeout towards the Hills Hornets. 5 minutes remaining here in this semi-final. 5 minutes to do it, and the Hornets trail by 6 against the North Bears here at the Hills Basketball Stadium. Just gives them that little bit of breathing space, the Bears. Just sort of snuffs it out, that momentum a little bit, and the crowd has gone a little bit quiet. But a couple of big baskets will certainly get them back into it.
Well, that little mini run there, that 4-6 point run that the Norths were able to do, they were able to achieve it without their leading scorer Anatoly both sitting on the bench.
Yeah.
So it tells me that there's genuine depth in this North Bears squad.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're not a one and done. One player can only do the job. I think it's still for Hills. Hills will score 56 points. Hills will score 60 points for this game, I promise you that.
Yep.
They need to figure out a way to ensure that Norths aren't getting easy looks at the basket. If Norths make Hail Mary shots or highly contested shots, they're going to have to live with that. Yep. They cannot allow Norths, which is what they have done, to get some of the easier points, because it's changing the momentum of the game. All of a sudden, they get themselves right up to the fire, and all of a sudden they step away because they give away an easy layup or a couple of free throws or whatever the case will be. So they've probably got to tighten up that area. And looking at what they've done here, they've actually gone with Josh Chapman back on for Jamie Newth, which gives you that little bit of extra size. I think Chappers and Jamie, from a shooting perspective, you don't lose or gain too much there. Jimmy McCann, this is this up the court defence that Jimmy's been renowned for his whole life playing, and he just creates just that little bit extra pressure. Shan Seabom watching up there, and I don't know if he's still down here in Sydney, but mate, g'day mate, I know you're spending your time now up in Newcastle. All the best up there, mate. Back-to-back turnovers by Hills. That's going to make it difficult to win a game if you're behind. Yeah, and especially off that dribble as well. That's just those long hands, long fingers getting in there and pinching those balls when you need to be really tight, especially when you're looking to make more points and push it to the guys that are open or able to make the baskets. There's driving hard in. He kicks it out to the top. Oh, a great effort, Brennan Reimer. That was Dave Hayman's ball for all money there. Oh, it's fallen in his lap again. Offensive glass, Davey. Offensive glass. It's just killing the Hills Hornets. Again. And you know what? Norths have no right to have won the majority of those rebounds tonight. Oh, I was about to think it was going to be another one. I thought it was going to be another one. Oh, that's an incidental foul by young Dan Young. What's that put them? That's just only their second team. Even though it's been a relatively physical game, not a lot of fouls have been called. Yeah, it's been played in a pretty good spirits as well. It certainly is all about the basketball at the moment. And with 4 minutes left, there's still plenty of basketball left. But Anatoly Bosch just seems to find himself in the right position at the right time when those, those offensive rebounds for the Bears tend to go their way. Just landing in his lap there. Great sub by TJ there to insert his captain. He's all-star 5 player. Don't be surprised. That may or may not be the last time Josh Chapman makes a significant difference in this game. The defensive chant, I can actually feel the vibration in this stadium.
Absolutely.
That is, sorry, absolutely clutched by Jimmy McCann. Acknowledges the fact that his team, didn't want to give another momentum shift to the Hills Hornets. Oh, Goran Veg. That is so strong.
That is strong centre play
for a veteran.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting to see what they do defensively here. Hills still stay in their man-to-man.
Plenty of room at the top there.
Oh, Bose gets Chapman in the air. There seems to be a lot more deflection going on. That's a tough shot. Oh, well, I'll tell you what, that's another example of where Hills played fantastic defence and then right at the death give away an easy turnover for an easy basket for...
Oh, he's going back to that well there, Chapman.
Interesting to see how Cabrera plays this last 2.5 minutes here, Davey.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I do believe his teammates still have an enormous amount of confidence in the way he can play. Nothing's going to change there. Just whether or not Dan Young with his 4th foul, not the end of the world as they've got a 6-point lead. Really, in essence, something's really going to have to go wrong for the North Bears for them not to take care of business from here.
Yeah, exactly.
But the level of play that is capable on the Hornets roster right now, nothing would surprise me.
Yeah, exactly. They're holding on by the skin of their teeth, the Hornets. They've got a bit of confidence.
Cabrera, there he is, a stop and a score. And you know what, right now, Norths just need to really churn some clock. It'll be interesting to see how long this backcourt hang on to the ball. Well, they've passed the ball inside, which could mean it ends up being an early shot. That's a tough shot. Yeah, I'm not sure that pass has to go into the post that early. I think the backcourt can look after that. Oh, I'll tell you what, Paul Brotherson, that's really the first time this half that Hills have looked to push that transition.
Yeah, absolutely. He's having a huge game at the moment for the Hornets. And again, he is scoring fairly reliably as well. You certainly want to go towards him. Oh, nice little up and under that bounces. Oh, and Link bounces out.
Tell you what, Ben Knight's complaining about a goaltender. I think he might have a point.
Yeah, very much.
There was a lot of contact on that rim. Anyway,
Oh!
Well, that has just given Hills an opportunity to tie the game at 61 all. And I tell you what, if we didn't know the Hills crowd were here, we do now. But they are here, and they are supporting.
Absolutely, Paul Brotherson.
Jimmy McCann with an absolute, oh my goodness gracious. Down the barrel, didn't last long. Jimmy McCann taking it on himself. Oh, I'm not sure about that pass. He's flung it behind his shoulder. Jimmy McCann may have just put the nail in. This will be very, very interesting. Now, you bet your bottom dollar it's the right guy's got the ball. Bose with Chapman with a strong rebound. Critical play of the game. Possibly play of the game since we've been watching here, Davey. Where do they go? What do they do? Pass underneath to Cabrera. And that is a wonderful pass and play by your backcourt combination. Well, the cream's rising to the top here. Your backcourt, there hasn't been a lot of action from the starters in the backcourt until the last minute and a half. Yeah, exactly. And all of a sudden, Dorbeck, that's an interesting call, right call, contact before the shot. He'll go to the free throw line for 2. Sharrod's calling a pushing foul, fair call. Dorbeck's will go to the free throw line. That is Josh Chapman, sorry, David. Josh Chapman's 3rd personal foul, which if this game goes to OT, could come into play.
Yeah, exactly. You want him on the court for the rest of it as long as you can, but he needs to ice this to give them that breathing space as well. They're up by 1 point. The Bears, got 2 to go here. Snags the first one.
Class player. Takes it to 2.
Look for a timeout nice and quick. Do they have any left in the bank there, Dom? I'm sure they do.
Yeah, two.
Grabs that second one as well.
Yeah, they'll advance the ball here.
3-point lead to the Bears there. Just gives them that little bit of breathing space. And I tell you what, though, after that big dunk by Paul Brotherson and that downtown special by our good friend Jimmy McCann, it certainly is in a very balanced state at the moment. That seesaw is back to square. Both of them are basically sitting there at the moment. Nobody's tipping either way, even though the Hornets are down by 3. They are still in it with 42 seconds remaining. It is a cracker of a game here, living up to every expectation about getting in there. Somebody wants to win it bad, and for most of the game it was the Bears that actually wanted it. But yeah, the Hornets are starting to show that they want to get into the big dance themselves against the Hunters tomorrow. It is going down to the wire.
Well, Davey, look, let's go back into the history books, the very short history books, very much modern history, if you will.
Yep.
Round 1, the Hills Hornets defeated Norths in a comeback win, 89-86, at this very venue.
Wow.
And then round 16, a long time thereafter, the Norths look fairly comfortable with a 7-point win at 90-83. So the scoring output in both of those games, given that this is the third time these same rosters have faced each other, sparsely different. This really is an exemplar of finals basketball. You're on average nearly 20 points below what their scoring output has been for the season.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's a combination of both some of the defensive plays and also some of the missed shots as well. So
wow.
Plenty of pressure. Big turnover.
Cabrera has just turned the ball over.
Big turnover.
Really unforced. It wasn't as if someone reached in there and grabbed the ball.
Every time we give him a rap about he's coming good, he does something like that. That shoulder pass, that rugby pass that he did underneath the basket, that went to nowhere. He backed it up with a couple of points. We got excited again, and then that sort of happens. The guy is going to be sitting there. Saw him before, drop a profanity as well. Very much deserved, I think, because he'd be sitting there going, what's going on? What is going on?
Yeah, it's a really difficult one as a coach. I've been fortunate enough to be given an opportunity to coach at this level before, Davey, and you get to games like this and you've learnt your players, you've learnt your rotations, and you get yourself sometimes in a situation where you can't believe what's happening in front of you because you've got so much evidence that it shouldn't happen this way. Mm-hmm. So you stick with your heart and you stick with your head and you say, I need to stay with this rotation, I need to stay with this guy. And sometimes you've got guys possibly sitting on the bench and girls sitting on your bench who might be that player that can come in and shake it up a little bit. But,
yeah, exactly.
You know, the game is just, it happens so fast. You know, at this level and the level above, everything happens much faster. I used to have people ask me, you know, is it difficult to keep up with the game? And coaching different levels, when the game itself is physically going slower, there's not as many fast breaks, things don't change as quick, you can make a change and take a little while for that to happen. You make the wrong decision as a coach, that one decision could be the make or break of the game. So
yeah, you're paying for it almost instantaneously if you do make that wrong decision and put that wrong player on at the wrong time.
This is an interesting play here. You don't want to give away a foul. You do not want to give away a cheap foul. No, I don't agree. The coach is asking for a foul. That should be 5 seconds. Why is that not 5 seconds holding the ball? That's an interesting one. I know that call doesn't get called a lot, but is it nearly out about? That's a remarkable shot attempt. Give it. It's a shot clock anyway, so we are excited. But I'll tell you what, we are in, and TJ's probably going to take his last time out. Am I right? He is taking his last time out.
But again, that was a mystery call. He was standing there for ages. I saw spiderwebs basically growing on him while he was sitting there trying to get the ball. And the fact that they didn't call it is really quite strange, with something so obvious as well.
And look, that is one of those calls that you just don't come across it very often. So I'm not too critical of the referees not calling it, but it's one of those scenarios where it's an advantage to the North Bears that it wasn't called, a significant advantage, and the Hills Hornets did a great job off the ball to deny Jimmy McCann with the pass, and Cabrera was doing a good enough job on McCann to deny him the dribble opportunity. So I don't, you know, unless there's something that's changed in the bylaws that I am unaware of, but that's just a frustrating miss by the calls.
The main thing though, Dom, was it's at a critical juncture of the game. You need to make sure you're on the ball with the big calls when they come about. There's less than 10 seconds remaining. They're 3 points down. They've taken a timeout, and the Bears still get the ball back. So all of a sudden, you know, it's all uphill for the Hornets. They get that call nice and early. They get down to their score. All of a sudden, it's either a 1-point game or it's equal Stevens. And then from there, anything can happen in the final.
Let me make a bit of a prediction. We're going to have an elevator play where Chapman inbounds it, goes cutting through baseline and comes high for a shot. Because they need a three. They need a three probably straight on. Here we go. Let's have a look. Chapman. There's the zipper. There it is. Elevator play. They couldn't get it. They weren't able to get it. Cabrera needed that three. That's all over. That's game, ladies and gentlemen. That is an enormous result for North to come into a semi-final of a Waratah League Championship game in an away venue.
Exactly.
With a parochial crowd, effectively probably 75-80% against them. A 66-63. Had we spoken to both coaches at the start of the game and said the opposition team's only going to score 66 or 63 points, you'd say, well, we won by 20.
Yeah, exactly. And they'd probably say, well, at heart, what are they doing for the second half as well? But compared to the game previously, it was a low scoring affair. And whether that was because people were feeling out of sorts or whatever else, interesting to see that it came down to the final shot from Adrian Cabrera as well. He's really stamped himself on the game. I don't know if it was the best sort of way. He'll be sitting there for a long off-season thinking about what could have been and what might have been. But I tell you what, very impressed with our good friend Paul Brotherson and Josh Chapman as well. They certainly did extremely well for the Hornets to keep them in it.
Yeah.
Dave Heyman had a whale of a game as well. Awesome game. For the Bears, I thought Nick Blair, when he came on and found that spot, he was hitting those threes just because he needed to. And Anatoly Bose in the middle got plenty of points as well. So for me, they were probably the best on the court. But again, it was the North Bears. Too good on the day. They did it by 3 in the end, 66-63. And again, there wasn't a great deal. Other than that last call, I think, there wasn't a lot of controversial sort of stuff.
No.
There's nothing that either team could point to and say,
absolutely
that was the critical call or decision that affected our season and affected us in the semi-final.
Yeah, look, disappointing finish to what's been a great year and a real hallmark season for the Hills Hornets being able to get themselves to this finals weekend. If this group stays together and the coaching staff stays with the group, mark my words, they'll be back here, and I would not be surprised at all to see them in one game further along and possibly contesting that championship game. So they can hang their heads held very high. Just a really good group of basketball players and a phenomenal coaching staff at North who year in, year out find a way to get to this not only this weekend but the finals game. Obviously North's last year won the title, so they're now looking at a back-to-back. Tomorrow's game will be an absolute barn burner. Two very, very different styles of basketball teams where you've got a real front court presence with the North's Bears versus your strength of your perimeter of who Newcastle have with Thornton, who is hands down and was voted MVP. Plus you've got Sharif Watson and the young bloke Foy, who is as good as a shooter as I've seen in a long time at this level. So exciting times for tomorrow. Congratulations to all the teams that have made the finals weekend. That in itself is something to hang your hat on, and years to come you can say that you played in a finals weekend. Congratulations again to Hills Hornets on not only winning the opportunity to host but doing such a great job. It's one thing being nominated, but then actually executing on that promise. So congratulations, mate. Davey, thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure sitting side by side on the mic with you.
Excellent work. Thank you so much for having us here for this big game. And well done to all the teams. Just before we go out, I travelled a long way to come down here for this weekend, and a lot of teams sort of did. So anybody who's travelling back and listening or watching this, finding out what's going on, travel safe, look after yourselves. If you didn't get through, we will see you back here next year. But for all the teams who made it into the big dance tomorrow, unbelievable, well done, and congratulations. I'm looking forward to each and every game tomorrow.
Cheers, Davey. See you guys.